to profit as a result. In that first series of the night, tempo and priority really were the name of the game. They open up the highway to get every objective in the game. And in this one, with the stakes that much higher, second and third seeds, you cannot afford to give anything away to your opponent.
Absolutely not here, as we can see a standard level 1 taking place here from both teams. Ryoma opting for the fleet footwork here on his ear, so not going to be going the same tanky build that we saw previously. Makes sense, given how much he likes to pump out that damage and really be that DPS threat in the late game. Whereas Benvi has gone for the barrier. We've seen him on Ashe so many times just run up and just completely run down enemy bot lane. And kind of out of respect to that, you'll see that Draku's actually gone for the defensive time Kench build, taking the Exhaust and the Guardian. So we won't see any of the same level 1 shenanigans where they're both poking out as Tien. A little bit of damage here, but this isn't Udyr level 1. It is very safe.
Just
stare at three members of Antic. Why not?
Doesn't really matter. I mean, you can do some damage, but I am an Udyr at the end of the day, and really the second case is look to try and deny any shenanigans that Grand Zero could look to try and pull off. And I think this is a good heads-up play. We already mentioned earlier in tonight, right, that Antic have been renowned for level 1 invades, really looking to try and put Swiper at such a strong advantage to make sure that his life is easy to find those skirmishes, to find those team fights. So for them to up the ante, to attack 2 lanes or 2 sides of the map at once, certainly puts them in good stead.
And speaking of attacking sides of the map here, you can see Schönfire, straight after completing this blue buff, will be looking for a Raptors invade now. With the priority that he should have from his bot lane, this will be quite easy, especially with the fact that he's pathing down. Perhaps even looking onto Swiper's red buff here now. The second he does complete this Raptors and walk over to the red, this will be spotted, and Swiper will have an opportunity to counter jungle. But right now, all the priority is favoring Ground Zero, and that's going to enable them to get this nice little start here in the jungle.
As you say, all 3 lanes working in Ground Zero's favour, and Schönfire going to be nice and aggressive and going to be spotted out by Vision. Going towards those Krugs. King is just going to peel away from the lane for a second, but doesn't want to spend too much time away before realising that another wave will crash underneath that bot lane tower. But wants to be enough of a menace to make sure, first of all, I don't get dived, but second, that I can actually get all this experience.
And that was really nice there. He actually reset the Krug, which is really going to slow down Schönfire's clear here. You can see Poppy's still level 2. Off this camp, if she does get it all, she will tick level 3, but I don't know with those minions going over whether he'll tick it. He does get it, and there's a massive wave here. And Swiper's also in the area.
Level 3 to level 1. Pretty rough life right now for King. But Swiper, as you say, is ready to try and do what he can. It's Drake who's going to solo soak up the gold and the experience. Look how advanced the bot lane is of Ground Zero. They're already playing between 2 towers, only 3 minutes in.
And this is huge, though. Look at all the experience and gold that King is losing. This is a 2 CS Smolder right now. And yes, there's no actual dive to be had, but it's already a plating falling down. And Smolder is so far behind here. Lemus will throw out an auto attack, but not really much to come of that. You do imagine both teams will just disengage here. So all things said and done, a nice little invade translated into a bot push that really gets this Draven into a nice position early on.
Certainly the best possible scenario for a Draven, right? And if you're playing the center, you're thinking, maybe not the end of the world, right? My Tom Kench gets to flourish as a result, but as you say, it is a Smolder, a champion so squishy, needs to be babysat, and to be died this much already into a very aggressive lane. Perfect start for Ground Zero.
Yeah, the double Doran's Blade as well here from Benvi and Lemus, really just to secure that extra combat power in the early lane phase where really you can find so much value as this Draven Ashe. Now, question is, what does Schönfire do with his jungle path here? Because you can see after that initial invade onto the bot side, he has a lot of his top camp still up. But it looks like he's not going to go for it. Instead, he's wrapping back around towards this bot lane. Now, keep in mind, these are full HP bars for Antic here, as well as Exhaust being available. Draku's actually going in.
He is going in. Abyssal Dive to start things off. The Tongue Lash to guarantee a fair bit of damage to Benvi and make sure that a squishy champion, ooh, does take the damage as King sneezes on him and says, Benvi, you need to go back to base, pick up that support item. I'm sick of this double Doran's Blade aggression.
But this is big here, right? Schönfire kind of just comes down here to allow his bot lane to get the wave in. Meanwhile, Swipe is able to deny the Raptor camp and kind of get himself back into the game as he picks up his second Gromp here. So all things said and done, it's actually not the worst for Antic here in this early game. Top lane, a slight CS lead, in mid lane, dead even. So across the board, being able to, prevent that dive from actually resulting in any kills means the game's actually quite even as we crest the 5-minute mark.
It's a fairly even game, but at the same time, it's a clear indication that if you've got an early game champion or a champion that needs to assert control nice and early, So that is where all the attention goes for the first 5 minutes. Lemus, no doubt, is going to be very happy with how this is played, as he will not only farm up those adoration stacks, but will get even closer to level 6 for that whirling axe to guarantee be it a kill on the lane or a kill cross map. benv, hot off the reset, goes straight to mid. Renowned for his ability to try and seek out opportunities, but he's going to be a bit of a contest here between both junglers, hunting for some of those void grubs. 2 picked up so far by Antic. Fight breaking out in the top lane, and Zoranus is really not loving life into the Zudia.
That's a huge trade there for Tien in the top side. Zoranus wanted to protect his jungler, who was doing those void grubs, but the cost will be running into a level 6 Udyr and tanking a fair amount of your health bar as a result. Now, Swiper does manage to pick up 2 of those void grubs, so he's the kind of the benefactor there of that early trade. And he will also run into Schönfire here. No smites for either jungler, so it really just does come down to a burst, but Relq quite hard to contend with, and there we go.
Yep, picked up by Swiper, nicely done. As it's going to be very hard for him to find protection from Roma, stuck underneath his mid-tier 1 right now, and if you thought proxying the wave was only a thing limited to the bot lane, well, we're seeing it top now as well, as Tien really is exerting his control in this lane, and, well, already jumping to make sure that Zoranus is just treated like an NPC.
Yeah, he'll go and proxy that wave as well. He's dropping some really deep vision to spot out Swiper whenever he does make a play towards that top side of the map, so leveraging this proxy strat quite nicely, and on the other side of the map, his team is actually picking up the Dragon in response, thanks to the bot lane pressure that Lemus and benv have been able to create. So, early game, they often haven't gone so well in the favor of Ground Zero. They're a very strong early game team, and that appears to continue to be the case here in Game 1.
Certainly does, and I think given the state of how much priority Ground Zero have had, it's remarkable that Swiper was able to find an opportunity to take away at least 2 of those Void Grubs, deny those Void Mites from spawning, and prevent them from saying, we're pushing these waves, we're shoving these towers, we're getting even more map control as a result. Both junglers in the area, Swiper knows that something is up, and certainly now, with vision being denied by Schönfire in that bot tri-bush, out goes the Abyssal Dive one more time, but sidestepping from Ground Zero, make sure that no CC will be found. But it is really that battle of harass, right? Who can land more, be it the Smolder or the Ashe?
And both junglers making sure to just kind of hover around this area, neither of them wanting to leave their bot lanes alone in a potential 2v3. Schönfire's mid lane, but he's going to get swept back.
He's going to get swept back, and he goes for the stun into the wall, but it's not enough. He doesn't get stunned, and really, Roma says, why did you bother? Because now you're down to 10%.
He loses his HP, but ultimately it's not the worst, right? Forcing out that Emperor's Divide means that Kisei can play a little more recklessly. Unless Swiper finds him here, though, there is flash on the Rel, but the healing is going to make sure Schönfire gets out just fine here. Now, Kisei, like I mentioned, with that Azira, can feel a bit safer in this lane. You saw, based on the health bars, he was getting harassed down there by Ryoma. So whilst it doesn't find a kill, it does open up that mid lane, and, you know, to keep Ryoma's Azir down for as long as possible, that's certainly something to be very happy with if you're Ground Zero.
Certainly is. If he gets an inch, he certainly does look to try and take a mile as a result, as Tien really is playing as a top laner and a jungler, part-time as well, as he just runs in and says, Swiper, you will not be taking a Scuttler, the vision belongs to us, and the control continues to be in Ground Zero's favour. It's a phenomenal start from them. And you are wondering how much attention is going to be thrown to these next Void Grubs, which are up in, what, less than 50 seconds.
Yeah, and you can see the bot lane of Ground Zero is resetting here. I would imagine that benv perhaps looks to link up with his jungler and walk out towards these to try to secure them for the side of Ground Zero. Now, the big caveat here is the fact that they can't get the 5 Void Grubs because Swiper took those previous 2, so not as potent as they would like, but definitely 4 is nothing to be scoffed at. And with the way benv's deploying, it certainly looks like he wants to facilitate this control. Maybe not full committing, but with an Ashe who's just ticked level 6, she can even be an influence on this fight from the bot lane.
Certainly are looking for that cross-map play from the bot lane in particular, right? Double global ultimates. Could certainly pack a punch right now and influence a lane in their favor even further than it already is, because the deadlock is certainly not being broken between these mid and top laners. Very small margins between the two of them. Speak about small margins, there's not really much separating these teams as a whole as we hit the 10-minute mark.
And it's interesting that the gold is so close, right? Looking at the bot lane, you can see 20 CS is the difference, plus those 2 turret plantings that went down, and yet without that, it's still basically neutral gold at this stage. And speaking of our previous Void Grubs conversation, it's going to be Schönfire who picks them up here. You can see Ground Zero, the bot lane as a response, are hugging their turret. They have acknowledged that they are vulnerable at this particular window. And with no TPs available, there certainly is that window that Swiper may be looking to exploit here down towards the bot lane. The Devour pairing with a dive really means that you can execute these high HP dives unlike you would be able to without that ultimate being available. But they're not going to look for it this time. Instead, just opting to continue clearing here.
Certainly is one of the strong points off that bot lane combo, right? That they can dive with a fair degree of reckless abandon. Always knowing that no matter how much of these turrets we tank up, there's always a Devour to bail you out and really cheat what should have been a surefire one-for-one trade. But I will say it's fairly remarkable that despite King being zoned out and being level 1 for what felt like an eternity, getting proxied only a couple of minutes in, that the difference is only 20 CS. Yes, Limus no doubt has a ton of adoration stacks backed up, and if there's not much between these two teams, if that can be realized, they will start to run away with things.
Yeah, obviously the early game has always been the Ground Zero special. They're a really fantastic team. As we pan to top lane now, you can see TN having a really nice time in this laning phase. He's managed to take 2 turret platings for himself in this lane as he's working his way towards the Leandros and gets another base cancel. So this Udyr last pick, you know, not the conventional 5P carry, Schönfire stealing away the Scuttle Crab, but certainly able to carry in his own right. If he's able to get this gold lead, able to stack up a bit of MR, they might be looking for a dive here. I'm not sure what they actually want here.
Looking like a whole lot of nothing right now. Just 2 members on either side staunching one another out, saying we could do this, but we won't. We're just a bunch of tanks looking to show face. And it does become a little bit interesting then for the likes of mid and bot, knowing how keen they would be to try and force the fight. What it does mean when those junglers do go awry, if they do poke their head into top lane, whether or not there's an invitation for a bit more aggression to be found. We're 12 minutes in, Max, yet to find our first blood.
This is not what I was expecting from a Ground Zero ANC game, right? The pure amount of respect that's being shown is quite incredible. But you can see here, as a result of that TP being used in the top lane, Ryoma as well, kind of ceding lane control because he had to TP back. It does look like this second dragon will just be going over, so obviously yet to see the soul point, but Ground Zero doing a nice job of accelerating themselves towards that win condition nice and early.
It's a weird situation to be in, but you wonder which team is favoured more as a result of this more passive affair to start things off with. Obviously, Ground Zero, of all this control that we mentioned for this initial game 1, has allowed them to really do as they please, picking up Void Grubs, picking up Dragons, stacking those up nice and quickly. Willing Death coming on through, looking to try and deny any reset to be found in that bot lane. Not to be done. Once again, the drive-by from Schönfire in towards mid lane, looking at Ryoma, who last time hit him with the Empress Divide. This time will do the same. And the Magnet Storm to get him just a little bit closer to the tower, but they do not need it. And first blood for Antic.
That time, Schönfire's greed on mid lane actually gets punished there. A really nice read from Swiper to quickly flash in and secure that. Mechanically, Swiper played that very well, using the Magnet Storm to drag Schönfire away from his passive, right? Wasn't able to get that shield. If he picks that up, he can most likely just flash the wall and get out. But this time, Ryoma will be the benefactor. So it took us 13 minutes to get there, but a first blood onto Ryoma's Azir. Certainly where you want to see that gold going if you're Antic.
That definitely is the best case scenario. You bat away the Orianna. You've given him Cross, arguably his best champion this split. And based on how he's performed it in the past, we are in for an absolute 1v9 performance. Nash's Tooth complete as a result. You say, not going to be far behind though. He's already got tier 2 boots complete, as well as the rocket belt to boot. He will be a very strong Akali, and will certainly not be shy of a cheeky 1v1. Question becomes though, another objective on the map to take, and Ground Zero continue to be favoured.
Yeah, really have been having control of every single objective that's spawned so far, besides those first 2 Void Grubs. You can see that with the positioning of Antic's bot lane here towards the bot side of the map, there really is no way for them to contest in an even-numbered fight. So we'll just be taking this Herald here, will Schönfire. The question is, can they actually make a play against Kisei on this Akali? Keep in mind, Akali is a very mobile champion, a very safe champion with that Shroud, and there always is the TP from TN if they do commit too deep. So let's take a look here as well. There is an Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Here's it coming.
Yeah, it's the cross-map ult. We're going to try and lock him underneath the tower, and he's got the aggro, so the Devour has to be used. That is that Reckless Abandon. We highlight the Devour, as well as the Abyssal Dive gets him out to safety for the meantime. With the Magnet Storm, I don't think it's going to be enough. As they summon a dragon across, and that's not enough to deter Ground Zero. The TP, the Ghost, and just a run them down attitude from Ground Zero.
Really nice response there to that potential turret dive. You could see the enchanted crystal arrow coming through as Schönfire's caught.
Certainly has been caught once again. This Emperor's Divide seems to be a real sore point for him to try and contend with. And Draku is the one to pick it up. It's all starting to explode now. We had to wait a long time as the mid-game came around. Antic exploded into life.
Yeah, Schönfire just getting caught off once again in the enemy jungle, looking for a camp on that respawn timer of Swiper, but just ends up going down. Yes, it's to the time, Kench, but still your second death here on this Poppy, not where you'd want to be. And to go back to that previous play, Kisei actually walked up to Swiper, took damage from the Barmy Cinder, and that was the thing that procced the turret aggro. So just a really nice read there, really nice mechanical play from this young mid laner to be able to pick up his first assist here. Kill going over to Tian on this Udyr, opting for the Liandry's into full tank route. So not only is he able to do ridiculous things in terms of surviving the middle of team fights, but also he's certainly able to contend in those side lanes in terms of damage as well.
Yeah, absurd amount of damage will come through as a result of that one. We've seen Udyr's certainly stand the test of time and contend with 5 members around them and just walk out with Turtle and just kind of laugh. But yeah, with this as well, they're looking to try and really assert themselves to control and ability just to run anybody down and leave no survivors.
With this dragon spawning in 1 minute, the question really does become how we're playing around the bot lane. Enchanted Crystal Harrow just misses Ryoma there. He'll flay the emote and walk out of harm's way, but 50 seconds, you can see the vision that's being set up by either team here around this bot side. Neither team's really been able to take a firm control here. You can see control wards in the river, mostly belonging to Ground Zero, but Antic are slowly working their vision line up. Now, this will be a huge fight. Keep in mind, this is a Draven who hasn't cashed in all game. We'll have to check in on his adoration stacks, but certainly he would love to get a kill on board. And there will definitely be a fair amount of execute damage coming through. 494 Skimmy on the adoration stacks. He's making a whole band.
He definitely is. He's definitely going to be a bit of a whale after this one if he can cash that in. The amount of money coming on through. Going to be like a millionaire tycoon, no doubt about it. He's gone for the opportunity as well. Certainly seems to be the go-to item now. We've veered away from the likes of the Ghost Blades. And we just want to utilize that active from finding those kills. Let's see then if they decide to try and contest this one, because it is Antic first to deploy to try and deny Grand Zero from getting themselves a very quick to establish soul point. They're TPing in, they're making a stand for it, and the Dragon gets lower and lower, but Sniper's already peeled away from it with the Mega Storm locking in place one clear target. Shern getting isolated by the Cassante, and Benvi not far behind him. Double kill for Zoranus despite what was such a rough laning phase. He's answered back when it matters, and that's team fights.
Big team fight win there for Antic. They make the decision to just turn up onto the squishier members of Ground Zero, and they managed to do so with great success. You can see Zoranus taking 2 kills out of that play, and it will stop the dragon stacking of Ground Zero. So really heads up read there by Antic to deny the flanks by just running up the river. And once again, it's this decisive shot calling from Swiper that really feels like it makes the team fights easy. Let's take a look at this play once again, because we can see the TP coming through. Antic acknowledge that they're kind of getting pensive here, so they make the decision to turn upwards. Schönfire, yes, he's a Poppy, but by no means is he tanky. He falls on down, and Benvi, who just used Flash to deny the initial engage, falls down as a result here. So 3 kills going over to Antic, as well as the Dragon. Feels like once again Ground Zero, they're falling victim to this one team fight to lose the game, but here goes Schönfire onto Ryoma.
Looking for that key target, the Sun Disc is summoned, and Ryoma, oh, what a fantastic denial! Or that Empress Divide was for sure about to come out to play, as he looks to really answer back and bring the pain and pressure to 3 of them, as Ground Zero forced to scuttle away.
And how good is Azir in this comp, right? Which champion is actually able to kill him? Besides the Akali, there's really not much the rest of Ground Zero can do. You can see Tien kind of is just forced to run at him awkwardly while taking all this damage from this Nash's Tooth Azir. Poppy can't do much. We just saw her diving and just getting basically one-shot under the turret. And then you're playing against a double range here. So really, it's going to come down to Kisei to be fighting these flanks and picking off Ryoma, or else we're going to be treated to one of his ridiculous damage specials that we have seen in the past here. Now, Rift Herald will be summoned in towards this bot lane. It's got quite a long journey to go before it finds a turret. I'd be very surprised if it's actually able to make it all that way.
Incredibly long lane for it to travel on through, right, as Kisei looks to try and escort that one and perhaps at some stage become a passenger to guarantee another opening on the map for them to answer back, because after that recent play, Antic have managed to take a bit of a map lead with 2 towers acquired, both outers on either end of the map. That Herald may just really become another minion for Zoranus to farm.
Looks like it, and now this K'Sante is very scary as we see the Enchanted Crystal Arrow missing there on the mid-wave. But now Zoranus is looking very, very scary. Lemus, yes, he has so many adoration stacks, but what does it actually matter if you're never able to get a kill on this Draven? Currently sitting just on the opportunity as he works his way towards that Collector. But you imagine just one cash-in could really be the game-swinging event. With the way Antic are playing, it's not looking like they're going to give an opening anytime soon.
And it is always that weird situation, that weird spot to be as a Draven, right? Do I want to try and commit for the all-out kill? Or do I play a little bit too passively, let opportunities pass me on by, and try and preserve my KDA, make sure that my adoration continues to grow and grow and grow. But obviously, individual like Lemus, so well versed in the champion, will find his moment, just biding that time right now, and will hopefully be able to catch that one in sooner rather than later, because King already at 166 stacks as the Smolder. Really does feel like a game, Max, where stacks are the name of the game.
Stacks are the name of the game, and King is definitely winning right now with this mid lane. Basically all under his control is actually the TP's coming out here. This is TN.
TP there, he's got the Ghost available if he so desires, but he's going to hold it for the meantime. Dracu instantly hitting it at the Valve, not taking any chances on this occasion as they turn their attention towards Zoranus. We see all that to cover the distance. We get absolutely flashbanged by the drive-by on the Dragon. As the sound, it's so loud and it's deafening here for Grand Zero. The steadfast presence is clutch and denies Zoranus with that Intofo strikes that could have spelt disaster.
Zoranus on this K'Sante is absolutely immovable, whereas TN very much able to fall on down, as we just saw in that previous play. Zoranus doing a fantastic job to avoid the initial engage and then soak up all this damage while bringing TN back into his team and taking him down. And now this K'Sante blind pick really looking scary, as the scaling of Antic is the key factor as we head on into this game. I mean, yes, it's only 3,000 gold, but you can see from this TP, Ground Zero want to find something. They realize that they need to make a play, try to force something. The arrow lands, but Dracu's there to devour him, and then this K'Sante, he just doesn't die.
Doesn't die, an immovable object at this point in time, repositioning very nicely there for the ultimate and getting himself out of harm's way. And by that point, it just feels like Ground Zero have put themselves in a bit of a risky position. And yeah, if it wasn't for the Poppy, would have been 2 casualties on that occasion. And now you take a bit of a stock check of those solar lanes, and for all the good work that Ground Zero did, it's now a 5-0 combined top and mid.
Very scary solo laners here for the side of Antic, and as this game goes on, you really do wonder how Ground Zero actually start their fights, right? That's kind of one of the big issues with picking Poppy is, yes, you're a fantastic disengaged champion, but how are you actually pulling the trigger on these fights? You know, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow can just always be eaten by Dracu, whoever eats that stun. It makes it really hard to actually find kills. So with this next Ocean Dragon spawning, Ground Zero don't have a single bit of vision in the area, and it will just be Antic picking this second one up. What is Ground Zero's response? When do they actually pull the trigger? Because right now it feels like Antic, they're getting to play towards this 40-minute win con uncontested.
And that's the weird thing for me, Max, is for all the good work, they had that level 1 invade, they had all the pressure to deny King really getting that perfect laning phase. It all looks so good to start off with, but then from that point on, it's almost like they've let off the gas a little bit and almost a little bit hesitant to engage, knowing that, hey, if one failed fight goes awry, then we fall further and further behind. Surely now, knowing that Lemus has picked up the Lord Dominic's, this is your time to strike. Let's check in with the gold overall. And you can see, no surprises that Ryoma is top of the tables, but we harp on about it. Lemus really is surrounded by multiple Antic members, and you know, all it takes is that one big fight, and if it's Baron, then surely that's the time to fight.
I mean, at this point, he has to have like 700 adoration stacks. It's got to be some ridiculous number that he's working with right now. Yeah. There you go, 750. So if he manages to get a kill without falling down first, he's basically building himself half a full item at this stage as Antic might have found an engage here.
Magnet Storm will be used. The Swiper isolates out Kissay. He goes into the Shroud, buys a little bit more time. They summon Mum. As Dracu gets knifed from that Abyssal dive. Schönfire lagging behind, caught off to the side there, and he gets dropped down to 50%. You talk about the stacks there for Lemus. We'll talk about the fight instead as Tien gets shoved with an Emperor's Divide, but does Zudia things and just waddles away. Jumping across the wall goes Swiper. Tien does have Ghost in a couple of seconds.
TP.
And the TP to try and back him up. This is a fight that they win because it's going to be 2v4 as the Sundisk is summoned. He dive once again, not successful. Swiper knocks back Kisei, and King smacks him down. My previous point being 800 stacks for Limes, but now King's got the execute.
But here goes ground zero. They've found the pick.
They certainly have found the pick they're looking for. Limes is the target. All those adoration stacks are gone. And for all that good work, 25 minutes completely undone. It's a perfect ace. It's a triple kill for the Dragon. It's a Baron.
Every time, ground zero, they had the lead. They had the strong position in the early and mid game. But Antic, they outlast. They get to this scaling point. And just a clean team fight, a clean Baron, 11-1 here. And like you said, it goes from bad to worse. Draven loses adoration stacks as we take a look at this play once again. Tien is initially really caught out here, but the TP from Kisei to potentially save him. He ends up going down off the back of a nice re-engage by Swiper here. Gets the flash flip into the chain damage here. And off the back of this, you can see Schönfire. They want to blow up this one target here on towards Ryoma, but simply Limes cannot hit him. There's a Devour to come through to give him that shield, to buy him that invulnerability. And off the back end, no one can stand in front of Ryoma. And at the end of this, no one is left alive.
It just feels to me like, Max, they've left it too late to try and find an opportunity to strike. They've opened Pandora's box and they do not like what they see. Benvi isolated as Ryoma goes on a rampage. He's got 4 kills right now. 3 members locked inside that Magnet Swarm. This is a drive-by on the Dragon. Triple kill into double kill. This Smolder is unleashed.
Ace after ace. Antic say we can do it once, we will do it again, and there you go. Just in the jungle there, what starts as a pick onto Benvi ends up being a complete ace here. And for Skimmy, what was such a close game only 2 minutes ago is now 16-1 in the kill score with a 9,000 gold lead in favor of Antic.
16-1. You saw the fan vote from everybody beforehand. It was dead down the middle, 50-50. But this game has become completely lopsided. All things going the way of Antic, and it's completely even defied my expectations.
Yeah, looked way more one-sided than I ever expected, really coming out of this gate into game one here. From this point on, what do you actually do as ground zero? I mean, look at the inventories for the side of Antic. Ryoma has just completed his death cap. As we take a look once again, Benvi caught out here, this Ashe. Basically just a walking ward, in the words of Zoranus, and they try to get the kill back onto Dragku, but there is just too much damage. There's too much tankiness from this Tahm Kench to survive, and without that initial kill, ground zero have nothing to work with. They're playing into Smolder, and they will just all burn down. And now, 3.5 items here completed on King on this Smolder. 266 stacks. Yes, the Draven was looking scary, but now there's an even scarier 80 carry prospect.
There certainly is. You've got to deal with 2 carries with a combined 12-0 scoreline. If it was bad enough to try and contend with Ryoma's coveted Azir, you've now got to do damage to this hyper-accelerated Smolder that King has piloted to success. It was a rough early game. He got through it. And this Tahm Kench has always been there to back him up. And Grand Zero must be kicking themselves right now, unable to find any way to answer back with this current game state. 30 minutes in, down 10k, going to Baron Siege. That only now expires with one inhibitor taken in the bot lane, a second opened in the mids. It's time to open up top lane as in jumps Shern, and as soon as he goes in, he falls on down. They summon the Dragon again, and he's very lucky to be alive there, quite honestly. Kisei turns golden, he flashes out to safety, but none of that will be found in this occasion. And Tien has to settle to try and kill a support, but even that's too hard to achieve as the exhaust denies him. The kill is not found. And it is desperation as Antic wipe the floor with them.
It's the best case fight for ground zero there. They use the Keeper's Verdict onto Dragku, remove him from the fight while Tien's TP flanking, and they still can't win. It's 18-1. They want to break these Nexus turrets. They want to break this game.
They want to open this series. They want to give themselves that win condition, that chance to become the second participant here in those PCS playoffs qualifying game. They want to have a date with Destiny up against Bliss, the match that we'd all hyped up during that regular season. King goes double digits with it, 11-0 right now, absolutely phenomenal. The Draven didn't get to play, but Antic, they certainly did.
Everybody said it would come down to who played better on